Assalamu alaikum. How are you? Today we are going to have a new topic. In the last lecture, we discussed minutes of the meeting and something about meetings. Before we study our topic and discuss what it is, let's read a message, a communication. Dear Sir, subject, report on the strike of workers in the factory. Following your instructions, I have probed into the matter regarding the strike of all the workers in the factory. Here are my findings. On Monday morning, in the production unit, two workers started a fight on a money matter. Ahmed had lent some money to Karim, who made several promises but did not return a single penny. On Monday morning, Ahmed demanded an immediate return of his amount, but instead of an apologetic behavior, Karim abused Ahmed. Hot remarks were exchanged. Karim picked up a hammer and hit it hard on Ahmed's head. It started bleeding. He was rushed to the hospital by the workers. Members of the labor union reached and all the workers took out a procession. The president of the union gave a call for strike. They raised slogans against the culprit. While addressing the mob, union leaders demanded a prompt termination of the culprit. They wanted to continue the strike till the acceptance of their demand. However, on the assurance of the production manager, they agreed to call off the strike. Everything was done amicably. Sir, you have asked for my suggestion, so I recommend Mr. Karim's termination. I do feel that a case of fraud and assault should be registered in the police station. Mr. Ahmed should be treated at the expenses of the company and should be granted paid leave for 1 month. Yours truly. So, what it is? Very easy to acknowledge. This is a report. So, today our topic is a report. How do we define report? Certainly, there are a lot of definitions of a report. For example, an orderly, objective message used to convey information from one organizational area to another organizational area or from one institution to another institution. This is one of the definition of report, that it is a sort of message. Obviously, this is a message, this is an information which is being sent from one person to another person, from one department to another department. There can be many other definitions of this very report, like a business report is an impartial, objective, planned presentation of fact to one or more persons for a specific business purpose. So, according to this definition, it's an impartial, objective, planned presentation of fact. So, this gives us the basic matter for discussion. A business report is a planned presentation, is an objectively presented message. So, it is in some way different from other types of messages. Obviously, in being a message, in being conveying some information to some person or to some people, it is just like a letter. It has some message for somebody. But in certain aspects, it's different from a letter. Letter normally cover one issue and they deal with certain aspect. For example, you want to place an order, you want to make a request, you want to have a complaint, you want to write a complaint letter, and so on. But basically, this report serves a lot of purposes. The top management receives reports from the lower management, and on the basis of these reports they form new policies. They take certain changes in the course of their action. They make certain planning. So basically reports give facts about a certain topic, about the topic about which we have been asked to investigate. As you have just seen the report, in the first sentence of the report, as per your action, instruction or directive, these are the very common words that you will find in all the reports. I have done this. So very first thing about report is that normally in our offices reports are prepared on the orders of some superior authority. Some superior authority want you to send them some certain information on any topic. It may be sales, it may be accounts, it may be marketing, it may be any department or any topic. But what they want from you, they want from you that you must give them very accurate information about that topic. You must give them very complete information about that topic. As we just said, that it must be very objective, planned piece of paper, right? So beside the definition, you must have heard a lot about report. For example, you must have heard about formal report and informal report. So what is a formal report? Obviously the word formal tells you a lot, that it has a better structure compared to an informal report. It has more details, it has a topic which is more complex, and the information passed on this type of message is a little different from informal report. So far as informal reports are concerned, informal reports are written in a very casual manner. Obviously, casual manner, when we say it, it means that contrary to the formal manner in which we use normally the formal style. As you will just see that in formal report we use formal style, whereas in informal reports we use informal style. So in informal report we use casual tone, and the topic are not very complex as compared to the formal report. So beside this classification of formal and informal, there are certain other things to be known about a report. But before we discuss those things, the certain classifications or certain types of reports, you must have heard periodical reports that are being written at a certain period, week-wise, month-wise, quarterly and yearly, etc., etc. Let's look at some purposes of report in a little detail. For example, one of the purpose of report is to monitor and control operation. So we write reports when we want to monitor and control certain operation. So common example of these types of reports are plans, operating reports, personal activity reports. We have assigned some project to a team or some individual, and we ask about their working. So this type of a report is prepared and distributed for internal purposes. So the distribution of this report is internal. It goes upwards. Sometimes it also goes outside the organization. So it's also an external report, and this is sent to some selected audiences. So we have another purpose of report, and that is to implement policies and procedure. Whenever an organization wants to implement certain policies and want to introduce certain procedures, regarding its working. So it writes reports. So the common example of this type of report is lasting, guidelines, position papers, etc. So these are the example of these purposes. So these internal reports move downwards or on a non-recurring basis. Then we have another purpose to comply with regulatory requirements. Sometimes we have to comply with some certain rules, some certain laws. So as a result, we need to write reports like IRS, SEC, EEOC, Human Rights Commission reports, etc. These are basically external reports, and these reports are sent on a recurring basis. So we have different purposes of reports. They are written to monitor and control operation. They are written to implement policies and to introduce procedure. They are written to comply with regulatory requirements. Similarly, some reports are written to obtain new business or funding. For example, your organization is interested in launching some new project, and you've been assigned to investigate the market and give them a sort of feasibility report. So common examples of such reports are sales and proposals. These external reports are sent on non-recurring basis. Then we have to document client work. I mean, we are working on a certain project, and we have to send back to our organization on the working of that project, so that it could be sent to the clients and our superior could know about the working. So interim, progress reports, final reports are the example. External reports are sent on non-recurring basis. Then we have to the purpose to guide decision. Decision making is very important. Management has to make decision. They have to different options, and then they have to narrow down those options to make a decision. So research reports, justification reports, troubleshooting reports are the example of these type of report in which some decisions are made. So internal reports move upwards on a non-recurring basis. So these are different purposes to make reports. Sometimes it's to guide decisions, sometimes it's to document client work, sometimes it's to obtain new business or findings, sometimes it's to provide some sort of information. So these are different purposes for which different reports are written. These reports can be formal, these reports can be informal, these reports can be sent on a regular basis, or these reports sometimes are turned out just once. These reports move within the organization, and these reports are sent out of the organization. So these are some of the purposes of writing reports. And what is a report? Report is an orderly, objective message used to convey information from one organizational area to another organizational area, or from one institution to another institution. It's a planned representation of, and it's an objective representation of fact. So these are the simple reasons that's why we write reports. Report writing is a very prized quality of a communicator. Even books are written on this very issue. I mean, report writing, which includes only this topic, how to write reports. So reports are of two types. We can classify reports in two types, as I've been making this difference. They can be formal and they can be informal. So far as the formal reports are concerned, they are very carefully structured. They stress objectivity and organization. They contain much detail, and they have a different written style. In this written style, normally personal pronoun like I and we are eliminated. So these are formal reports. Formal reports are very carefully structured, and they have some complex issue, and beside having any complex issue, they don't have any personal pronoun, and they are written for some complex issue. Contrary to these formal reports, we have informal reports. Informal reports, as I just said in the beginning, they are very short reports. They are written in a very natural and casual manner. The language used is very natural and very casual. Informal level of languages used in these type of report. So these type of reports are generally written on memorandum form and as well as on letter format. But so far as the formal reports are concerned, they are also written on letter format, sometime on memorandum format. We will be discussing later on. But the basic classification between a formal report and informal report is the style. That the style of a formal report is very structured, very objective, and it has a certain organization, it has certain details, whereas contrary to it, the informal report has a casual tone and a natural tone and language in it. So beside these things, we have another classification for a report, and that is short report and long report. There is a difference in people who write reports. I mean, is a 1-page report is a short report and a 20-page report is a long report? If it is so, then what about the 10-page report? So these are different. However, to resolve this these differences, we can say that the format of a long report is different from the format of a short report. The format of a long report is different. It has covering, it has table of content, it has preface, it has preview, it has reviews, it has different section, it has a transmittal, a covering letter than normally, whereas a short report doesn't have any of these things. As short reports, as I just said, either has the format of a letter or a format of a memorandum. Sometimes short reports are written on a pre-printed form. Short reports are written abundantly too much in organization. For example, in a sales department, all the sales representatives have to write daily sales report after coming from their markets. They have to write certain daily report. So many organizations use some pre-printed form for these types of reports. So we have long report and short report, and short reports are too much written, as I just said, in the organization. So far as long reports are concerned, they can be of more than one volume, and like for example for big projects, they can be of 20, 30 and 40 volumes. Obviously we are not discussing in details about long reports. We'll discuss some format of long report, but more of our emphasis will be on short report. So what is it that makes a good report? What are the qualities of a good report? This is very important. First of all, a good report must be complete and accurate. As some decision is to be made on the information that is being passed on through the report. So it is very important that the information that is being sent through the report must be accurate, and also it must be complete. Beside these, since the purpose of business report is to convey some essential information to an organization, the ability to communicate data, organize fact and a purpose is very important in a report. I mean, a report writer must have this ability that he should communicate the data very accurately, and he should organize the fact that he is sending in a very logical and orderly manner. In short, the report should be clear, concise and readable. I mean, it should have detail, but it is as well as concise. As we have discussed an principle of communication, that every message must be concise. But here when we are saying that it must give detail, it doesn't mean that it shouldn't be concise. Conciseness means that it is giving detail, the detail to the requirement, but it is as well as concise. So a well-prepared business report will provide complete, accurate information about an aspect of a company's operation. The subject of a report may vary from expenses to profit, production to sales, marketing trends to customer relation. So since the report has to discuss all these things, it should be readable, it should be clear, it should be concise. So we can say that a report should have all the 7 C's in it. Unless it has all the 7 C's in it, it cannot be called a good report. It should have clarity, conciseness, correctness and due attitude, all those principles that we have discussed. Then we have the style of the report. When we talk about the style, as I just said, that if we are discussing formal report, it will be different in style from the informal report. In informal report, the level of the language will be informal, it will be casual and natural. In a formal report, it will be formal, complex. So let's look at a few examples and see that how this style differs in formal report and informal reports. For example, I recommend that the spring campaign concentrate on newspaper and television advertising. This is an informal style. But when this same sentence is being conveyed in a formal style, it is different. You just see it. It is recommended that the spring campaign concentrate on newspaper and television advertising. You just look at the sentence structure. In the informal style, the sentence begin with first person pronoun I recommend, which we've been stressing right from the beginning, that give this personal touch to your sentences. But the moment we are shifted from informal style to formal style, the voice is also changed, and as I just said, that in formal reports no first person pronoun, either I or we is used. They are eliminated from the report. So you see that this active sentence goes into a passive sentence. So we have it is recommended. Similarly, let's look at another example. After discussing the matter with our department managers, we came up with the following information. So it's an informal style. How do you know it's an informal style? Because it has we. It uses first person pronoun. And when the same sentence is converted into a formal style, it becomes the following report is based upon information provided by the managers of the accounting, marketing, personnel and advertising department. So the style of the report will be determined by the formality, level of formality. If the report is formal, the style is going to be formal. If the report is informal, the style is going to be informal. Informal style, the style that we have been using in letters all the way during this course. After the style, next thing that is very important is the format. Which format is used? As I told you while we were discussing in the beginning that we have two formats. One is a letter format and the other is a memorandum format. You know that in letter format we have all the heading or the address of the organization. The printed stationery is there. If then we have date, we have inside address, we have salutation, we have the body, then complimentary clause, and then signature, reference, area, etc. And if we are using memorandum style, then we have memorandum, we have heading, we have to from, then subject and date, and then the body of the letter. We can choose any of the format, but there are obviously certain reasons. Beside these two formats, letter format and memorandum format, as I told you just now that we have sometime pre-printed forms, and these pre-printed forms are also used for writing a report. Certain information that is to be filled in is there, so we have to write some blanks and complete the report. So printed form basically for fill in the blank reports. Most are relatively short, 5 or fewer pages, and deal with routine information, often mainly numerical. Use this format when it is requested by the person authorizing the report. For example, you might have seen that insurance companies use this type of reports. So they have a printed report form and simply the blanks are filled. So you must have noted another thing that they are 5 or fewer pages. I mean, they are small reports or short reports, but they can go to 1 page to 5 pages. So these are pre-printed reports, and in many organizations in which certain things are a matter of routine, this pre-printed format is format of a report is very helpful and is extensively used. Then we have the letter format, common for reports of 5 or fewer pages that are directed to outsiders. These reports include all the normal parts of a letter, but they may also have headings, footnotes, tables, and figures. So letter report and the format of a letter report and format of a letter is different in this extent that it can have headings. Normally we do not give heading. You must have noted that while discussing this format, when we were discussing different types of letter, we never talked about the headings of anything in a letter. But in a letter report you can use heading, because basically you are giving easy reading to your reader. So headings are used to give easy reading to your reader. The reader can easily grasp what you are explaining, and in a just one eye catch he can understand what you are talking about. So it also has some footnotes, it can use tables, and it can use certain other figures. Then we have memo format for reports, common for short report, fewer than 10 pages. So it's a short report. Informal reports distributed within an organization. Obviously, if it is a memo report, it will be distributed within an organization. For outside an organization, we have letter reports. Memos have headings at the top, to, from, date, and subject. In addition, like longer report, they often have internal headings and sometimes have visuals. So far as the organizational plan of the report is concerned, obviously if you feel that your audience, your reader, your recipient is receptive or open-minded, you are going to use direct plan. But if you feel that your audience are not ready to accept what you are going to say, you will be using the indirect plan. So choosing direct or indirect plan will be determined on the basis of your message, whether it's going to be favorable or it's going to be unfavorable. We'll be discussing different plans when we'll discuss certain other reports. Now we are going to discuss types of reports. Obviously we have made a distinction between formal reports and informal report. That was basically the classification of report. We classified report into formal report and informal report. Now we are going to discuss different types of report. First of all, we begin with a memo report. A memo report is a cross between inter-office memo and a formal report. So memo reports can be used to answer a request for information. You've been asked to supply some information and you write a report. To report progress, you are going to tell about the progress of your project or your working. Making recommendation, your superiors have asked you to investigate a certain issue and then give them a recommendation. To state facts, something has happened and you need to report them. Communicate ideas. For example, you have some new ideas about new project, about some new planning, you have some creative planning for something, so you will write memo report. Send statistical data. Obviously certain reports concerning to finances are written. And explain trend within an organization, how different trends are taking place in an organization are reported through these memo reports. So through memo reports we can send any requested information, we can send the progress of our project, we can make recommendation if we've been asked to make, we can send some facts, we can communicate ideas, some creativity here, we can send statistical data, and we can send some organizational trends. And obviously sometime we also give trends that are found in the market about our services or about product. So these are the basic purposes for writing memo report. Memo report which is written within an organization. Then this memo report is further divided into two types. Number one is informational memorandum report and number two is analytical memorandum report or memo report. So far as informational memorandum report, the central purpose of informational report is to inform and summarize information, similar to speech to inform. As if you inform somebody in speech, you inform somebody through this medium, through this memo. So these reports vary widely in content depending on type of business, purpose, topics discussed and readers' need. The following reports are often used in organization. For example, information memo reports will inform to summarize some information request, organize information, objectivity, make a recommendation, as we just said. Another type of this is conference report. Topics of conference report range from summaries of personal sales called conferences to writes-up of meeting attended by hundreds of persons. For example, a credit or a collection manager or account executive may attend a meeting and they make their own report. The text of such report is usually organized by topics discussed and presented simply in a chronological order. So in conference report we discuss topic in a chronological order, the way they took place in the meeting or in the conference. and we use headings in these type of reports. Then we have progress report. Progress report show progress, accomplishment or activity over a time or at a given stage of a major assignment. So progress reports are there in every organization. The organizational plan is usually inductive. I mean, for previous report which we discussed, like conference report and the other reports, we normally use direct organizational plan. But for progress report, we use indirect organizational plan. So we begin with the introduction. This introduction has the purpose or the nature of the project. And then we go on to description. In description, we tell about the accomplishment during the reporting period. And then we discuss anything unanticipated, any problem that just popped up. Then plans for the next reporting period. Then we give the summary, overall appraisal of progress to date. So we've been discussing informational memorandum reports, and under this informational memorandum reports, we have conference report, we have progress report, and the next one is periodic report. They are routine reports prepared at regular time intervals. For example, they are written daily. As I just said that in many organizations, certain marketing people or other people have to write the daily report. So these are examples of periodic reports. They are written daily, they are written weekly, they are written fortnightly. I mean, after every 2 weeks, they are written monthly, quarterly, after every 3 months, and annually. So all these reports are periodic reports. Sales report, financial reports are examples of periodic reports, and these reports are prepared on pre-printed form. Normally these reports are prepared on pre-printed form. There are certain forms and you just fill in the blanks and the report is written. So we are discussing reports, and we have discussed about informational memorandum report. We said that memorandum reports are of two types: informational memorandum reports and analytical memorandum reports. In informational memorandum reports, we have discussed conference report, progress report, periodical report, right? These reports, some of the reports are written on direct plan and other are written on indirect plan. Normally the periodic report is written on a pre-printed form, right? Now we go on to analytical report. This analytical memorandum report seeks to analyze a situation or a problem. As the name makes it clear that an analytical memorandum reports analyze a situation or a problem. It may end with or without a specific recommendation. Normally in such reports some recommendation are to be made. As we read a report in the beginning, in that report you see that in the ending part of the report, the writer of the report gives some recommendation that certain action should be taken against a certain person. So in these reports some recommendation is made. So such reports are written on certain occasion. They are written on the causes of decline in sales volume. You have been asked to investigate that in certain branch of your organization the sales have gone down, or within the city or outside the city. So when you are assigned this duty, you will go to that place, you will make an investigation, a very thorough investigation, analyzing all the pros and cons, all the facts, why this decline has taken place, and what are the causes of this. So you will be writing an analytical report. So another type of this report is the evaluation of a person before recruitment. I mean, before employing a person, you are evaluating. Normally in our country, sometimes simply applications are asked and then interviews are conducted and people are inducted into employment. But now, as the different fields of human resources progressing, it has been felt that the most important thing other than the required qualification is the adaptability of the person to the climate of the organization. So it has been seen that before giving employment to a certain person, these departments conduct certain interview with the employees about his aptitude, whether he is able to, he'll be able to adapt into the culture of the organization. Has he the ability to acclimatize with it? So such reports about his aptitude are analytical memorandum reports. Then we have individual being considered for promotion. Whenever somebody is to be promoted, a report has to be written about his performance, and this report will be an analytical memorandum report. Then we have the analysis of a particular book or a project. So when we make such an analysis, we write report, and this report is known as analytical memorandum report. So an analytical memorandum report, we use these topics or these subjects. Then we have recommended justification report. Under this analytical report, we have another type of report, which is recommended justification report. Many analytical report will have a special purpose to recommend a change or remain with the status quo policy. I mean, their basic purpose is to tell the top management or the people who have asked to be sent that report that whether some change is important or not important, because they have to make certain policies. So another purpose of these recommendation justification report is to support the idea that something is desirable or undesirable. For example, a company has to make a decision whether they are to close down a certain branch of them or not. So in that case, they seek information, and this information is passed on this report, recommendation justification report. Similarly, the purpose of this recommendation justification report is to defend the accuracy of information or value the accuracy of information or any fact. I mean, they just probe into the certain issue or certain matter and see that whether the information sent is correct or incorrect. So your report may be in response to a specific request, or it may be voluntary. Sometimes you have seen that certain reports are published in newspaper. These reports are not published on the request of somebody, as we have seen that normally in organization reports are prepared when we receive some request from the higher authority or from or some law want us to write a certain report. When we are organizing writing these type of report, we need to atomize the information. It will give an easy reading to the reader. We must present the fact with absolute fairness and accuracy. Here we must not be biased. All the facts, the way we have found them, should be explained. Obviously, when you are going into investigation, you are nearer to the reality, so it is your duty that you must pass on that piece of reality to the people who wants that reality. So be careful not to mix your opinion with the facts you report. Normally it happens that when we are studying any issue, sometimes we also develop some personal biases, some personal likes or dislikes. But for a report, we need to be objective, as we just defined that an orderly objective message. So if it is not orderly, it is not objective, it cannot be called a report. So for a piece of writing to be called a report, it needs to be objective. It must not be mixed up with personal personal biases, personal likes and dislikes of the writer of the report. If you have some comments, I mean, you have investigated a matter, you have probed into an issue, and while probing into it, you have developed some personal opinion. You must not mix up this personal opinion with the facts. Keep facts separate from your opinion, because you can use your opinion in the recommendation section when you are concluding the report. So when you are concluding the report, just say what you have, tell about your opinion, how do you look at it. But as a writer of a report, it's your duty that you must pass on the facts that you have found during your investigation to the reader of the report, to the recipient of the report. So we have discussed a report. We have been discussing memorandum report. Memorandum report is of two types: informational memorandum report and analytical memorandum report. Obviously, if we say that memorandum report, it means that this memorandum report will be written on a memorandum format, and memorandum format has been discussed too many times. We have discussed that what is the format of a memorandum report. If there are reports written on memorandum format, obviously there are reports which are written on letter reports. In our next lecture, we will continue this topic and we will talk about reports which are written on letter format. When we say letter format, you can very well understand that what do we mean by this. Letter format, it has all the parts of a letter, from heading to complementary clause and reference section. Today we have discussed report. A report is an orderly objective message used to convey information from one organizational area to another organizational area, or from one institution to another organization. It presents facts to the reader, and there are different classification of reports. A report can be formal and it can be informal. A report can be short, a report can be long. A report can have a very formal style, and a report can have a very informal style depending on the audience. Similarly, reports use format of a memorandum and format of a letter. Today we have discussed reports that are written on a memorandum format, and we have seen that they are of two types. They are informational memorandum reports and they are analytical memorandum reports. So in informational memorandum report, we have discussed periodical report, progress report, etc. I am sure that after having listened to this lecture, you must have developed something about this report. Report writing is a very interesting subject. If you know that how to start and what to include, you can write very well reports. Report writing is a very required skill, a very prized skill of a communicator. To be a good communicator, you need to be able to write good reports. So follow the guidelines that we are discussing. We have been discussing whatever we have discussed is all about reports, and whatever we have discussed today about reports is all about the other topics or other aspects of communication or other forms of communication like letters or like simple memorandum, because their basic comes from the same source. They their purpose is to impart information, the information that is readable, understandable, concise and accurate. So, today we finish our lecture here, and we hope that you must have understood this topic. We will continue this topic in the next lecture. Until then, Khuda Hafiz.